Hi folks, we have my buddy Luciano Baez with me again. We're here in Mendoza, Argentina. We've been working together for a long time on his jazz playing, and so his journey is your journey. I like to have him participate because it helps us, get more personal, and perhaps you can project yourself into the situation a little easier when there's someone else in the video, and you can imagine, studying jazz with us. So we are talking about how to interpret a melody on the kit. One of the first things you're going to do, or you're going to have to do, when you're playing a melody, you're going to have to know how to orchestrate, right? So one of the things that's a really common problem, is not knowing how to orchestrate the melody, all right? So I'm going to give you a few tips so you can understand how to do that tastefully and in a very efficient way. All right, so when you're studying independence, jazz independence, what's the first thing that you have to do?
Learn downbeats.
Downbeats. What else?
And upbeats.
And upbeats. Over what?
The symbol, the right symbol.
Over the ride symbol. So basically what you're doing, what people have you do is play a steady spang-a-lang beat and do everything underneath, right? Underneath the spang-a-lang. The reality is nobody cares if you can keep that beat and interpret a melody. In fact, it sounds bad. It sounds bad to just keep spang-a-lang the whole time and sound like an independence exercise when you're interpreting a melody. So here, these few tips are going to give you some breathing room. Okay, going to help you sound a little more free when you're interpreting melody, and more mature, more like you're making music. So this is the last thing you want to do. All right, now we're taking a song, Scrapple from the Apple. All right, like we said in other workshops, you have to sing. It's embarrassing, but you have to sing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's all we need. Just that part. All right, so we don't have to get too complex on this, because what I'm going to show you can apply to any melody and any song that you encounter. All right, so the first piece of advice: when you see notes that are strung together, what you can do is hit the last note in that group. Okay, so Scrapple from the Apple. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that da, that's the one we want to hit. All right, so that's going to sound like this: 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you see that I'm not even going spang-a-lang, spang-a-lang, spang-a-lang. I'm kind of letting the ride cymbal breathe. I'm just playing 4. Now, if you want to do spang-a-lang, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, which is also okay. But my first instinct is to let the music breathe, and it all depends on the situations you're in as well. But so the point is that you want to give some space to the melody, and that's one thing you can do. Hit the very last note in that group. Okay, 1, 2, 2, 3. Okay, okay. This is what you don't want to do. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like if you're doing an independence exercise. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't want to do that. All right. You want to make sure you give the melody some room, and so these tips are going to help you interpret the melody. Remember that. Second tip: play the first note and the last note in any group of notes. Okay, like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the first note and the last note. Now, what this does is when you're reading, okay, you're not obligated to hit every note of a melody. That's one of the first mistakes that I would make too. That I'd see the melody, and I have to hit all that, or on the snare. That's another real typical mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't do that. That's really, really bad. Okay? So, I mean, it's just reading exercises like that or independence exercises. All right. So, tip number 3 is play in between any group of notes that you might see. Da 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 da. Okay? So, in Scrapple from the Apple. Da da ba da ba da 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 da. Okay, you have that little hole right there. That's something you can do. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, just a little thing like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, little things like that. You can even do one of these. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. In between a group of notes, hit something, and that's another little way to get your to find your way around a melody.
What's next?
Tip number 4. Whatever pulls your ear, go for that. Okay. The main point is not to hit every note in the melody. You don't have to hit every note. Whatever hits your ear the most, you can gravitate towards that. Okay, so if I were to read that for the first time ever, I'd probably do something like this. 1, 2, 2, 3, 1. Okay. If I was reading it for the very first time, all right. Now you notice I'm not doing this again. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't do that. Okay. All right. Tip number 5. Try to interpret the melody on the ride cymbal. Okay. Now this might sound a bit esoteric, but you want to get to the point where you're more free with the ride. The ride can help you in the phrasing of that melody. So it doesn't mean do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Right? It doesn't mean play the melody on the ride, but it means sort of play around. So that would sound something like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Okay, here we go again. All right. Now that is going to blend in with the snare and sound real nice. All right. You know, it's a pretty modern approach. If you listen to the original Charlie Parker track, and the drummer just keep it real simple, you know, and not doing that. But if you want to expand from that eventually, you're going to have to know these. And the whole point, again, is to help you interpret any melody. All right? These are tips that you can use on any melody. The end result is going to be your choice of what to do. And this is options. Okay? The next tip is to do a combination of all these things. All right? When you finally can do a combination of all these things, it means you know the melody pretty well. You kind of have a grasp on what it sounds like, and you can interpret it freely without being hung up on it sounding like an independence exercise. So we're just going to take the first couple of bars again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you see how these two things are like locking in together. Now, again, I want to reiterate that this is an exercise to get you to play any melody. It doesn't mean you have to play this melody that way. Okay, just to clear up that confusion. But if I was playing any modern, you know, bop session, that'd probably be kind of what I would do, especially if I was reading it for the very first time. Okay. All right. My singing horrible, so you have to forgive me. All right. So here it is. 1, 2, 2, 3. want Luciano to try this. Okay, we're going to go over the ways, the options again, and we're going to see what Luciano's going to do with it. Sorry about the dog. There's a dog barking out there. He wants to play drums as well. So what we're going to do is take the steps again that you should take to get this going. All right. So the last note of the first group of notes, okay, in the melody. Da da ba da 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 da. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Very good. Okay, hold it there. Okay, like that. That's all. Okay, now the first one and the last one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Great. Okay, that's all. Very, very simple, like that. That's all. Now, the next step is to put a note in between the group of notes in the melody. Okay, da 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 ba da da ba da da. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 ba da ba da da ba da da. Okay, good. Once again. See if you put out a snare this time in there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Da 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 da. Good. Okay. It's real simple like that. You don't have to go crazy trying to get all kinds of hitting every single note in a melody and stuff like that. Use your ears and see where to put in things. Okay, the next step, remember, take the melody over to the ride. Now let's see. Just play what you hear while singing that melody on the ride. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just an experiment. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Da, 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 da. Now real subtle like that, okay? That's all you need. Don't have to go crazy thinking you have to put all kinds of hits or crazy things on the ride. Just outline the melody. Okay, now combine all those things. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, you know, what is excellent is having like a saxophone player, just you and a saxophone player playing. Like when you can hear this with, you know, not me singing is horrible, but me singing is horrible. When you have a great sax, you know, player playing along with you and stuff like this kind of stuff really comes together. In fact, that's something that's highly recommended. Just you and a sax player or trumpet or whatever. To work on melodies together. Then when you put the whole group in there, it's like, wow, you know, it really takes it to the next level. So how do you feel about those exercises?
Actually fine. It gives sense to the music. It enhances the music, I think.
Right. Instead of when you first started to learn jazz independence, you started to learn like with the cymbals and doing everything separate with the bass drum and the okay. So that happens to all of us. Me too. When I first started learning, you know, that's the first thing they gave me is an independence book. Obviously, it's great. It's needed. But when I went to interpret the music, and then later when I went to read, I thought I was just a kid. I didn't have an idea. And that's how I did it. I just did it like I'm supposed to hit every single note in the melody, even though I heard the original recording. You know, when I was trying to read it and interpret it, that all this mashed my brain into this pulp, and I couldn't think about it right. So that's what happens now. Obviously, in Scrapple from the Apple, I have the original recording. Okay, so you can kind of see what drummers were doing, you know, on the original thing. You can copy that. But if somebody gives you an original piece of music, what are you going to do? You know, you're the first drummer to play it. What are you going to do? So that's when these methods come in really handy. And I learned about this really in big band drumming as well. It's a really a very important thing in big band drumming, how to hit figures and stuff. So, you have any questions?
Yeah, for example, how do you know when to use and when and why to use the bass drum or the snare drum or any other orchestration?
Okay, that's a very good question. So, I would go with the length of the notes, okay, just to have some kind of reference. If you want to do a short note, do it on the snare. If you want to do a longer note, you do it on the bass drum. Now, there's also this thing with inner clockwork that's not mentioned very much, especially in big band. But upbeats tend to sound better, just as a guideline, on the and of 1 and the and of 3 with the snare, and on the and of 2 and the and of 4 on the bass drum. You know, hard to say why, okay, but it's important that we talk about this for a moment, just to get something in your mind about it, okay? And then 2 and 4, it all depends, you know, it depends on the music and on the figures. But if you're hitting a longer note, obviously on 2 and 4, I go with the bass drum. If you're hitting a short note, I go with the snare. So those are kind of general guidelines to help you determine what instrument takes the figures. 1, 2, 2.
So remember, one of the main points I'm trying to get across is that these are tips that you can apply to any melody. The main issue is going to be when somebody presents an original tune to you or you're sight reading for the first time. What do you do? How do you interpret the melodies? With these little tips, you can interpret any melody. You can apply it to any song you hear, jazz style, and it's a great help because now you have something to base your interpretations on. I hope you enjoyed this workshop, and we'll see you in the next one.